Reunion. I want to introduce you to Troy Richardson. We all know him as our great cousin, but there's a lot that Troy has been up to lately. Give you an idea, he has a master's in technical writing, engineering, and also another master's in tech management. He has been awarded 5 U.S. patents in the zipline industry. He's paid by attorneys and insurance groups to be an eyewitness or a professional witness. How do they put that? Expert witness. And he tells me he gets his money up front. He's building a park, a zipline park right now called Zip Safe Aerial Adventure Park. It's 6 stories high, zipline challenge course. They are in negotiations right now of finding a place. I don't know if we should say where that is yet until that's negotiated, but he's working on that right now. And let me just see if I missed anything here. There's more that he has that he's been just kind to not tell me everything, but talk to Troy and he can actually fill you in on some of his adventures and things that he's been a part of. A great member of the church, has been very, very active in the addiction recovery program and has helped so many people in that. But I want to just turn the time over to Troy, and he's going to give our family portion of the reunion.
Hi everybody, I'm Troy, I'm an alcoholic. Well, you got to think about this. I've got 2 masters I'm working on, and I had my PhD before that. Pretty heavy drinker. 35 years of sobriety. And it's all because of this little girl right here that was 4 then, that's now what, 21?
Yes.
One day, early in sobriety, a friend of mine would show up and he'd knock on my door with 2 beers in his hand. It was when Utah County was a dry county. It was on a Sunday, so that was a good thing for me, you know, free beer. But before that, I went to an AA meeting with my sister. My sister Kim took me to my first AA meeting. And this time, my friend was met at the door by my 4-year-old daughter. As he knocked on the door, she knew he was trouble. And as he opened the door and went to hand me a beer, I told him not today. This little girl was somewhere in the apartment. She comes running out, stands up to the man. My daddy don't drink no more. It's a family disease. I'm going to tell you about my father. My father is Brent. He's the youngest here. This is him. He's cute. He does not as cute here, but we all grow into it, right? But these are all of his brothers and sisters. Great, man, they're part of your family, but they're part of the Richardson family. Dad was a great man. Dad taught me how to work. Mom taught me how to work. It seemed like they were always working and I was doing all the chores at home. But really, they were workers. And they had learned how to work by working on a farm and growing up with a farm family. And it's like, they never collected unemployment. When Dad was out of a job, he was looking for another. That's one thing that Dad taught me. I'm going to share a little bit more. So this is our genealogy. Over here, I'm a little bit concerned, and I wish Aunt Pauline was here, but this area right here, we've kind of lost it recently. And I don't know if it goes through this old Pedersen here, but we've lost it right there, so I covered it up right there. But what that shows us is our heritage. So most of us in, the United States, we've got British colonial in the blue, United Kingdom here, and Scotland. Fun. Okay, this is Dad's beautiful sisters, and I'm sorry we didn't have any. We still have 2 sisters living. So Aunt Pat and Aunt Pauline. And I was hoping to see them, and You got Aunt Pat right, wrong one. So you got Aunt Pat right here, Aunt Pauline right here. Beautiful sisters. You know, one thing I love about living in Spanish Fork and hearing stories about my ancestors is my friend, Pete Ludlow, used to tell me, he said, man, those girls were the most beautiful of the bunch. And he really did. One thing he did tell me, and I'm going to share a little bit about Sterling. Sterling, I didn't know much about him. Sterling passed away early on. He was in a car accident, and we, you know, death is part of our family. You know, death happens for a reason. You know, we have to come together when there's times of death, and that we can work and help each other heal. You know, it's when we can expose those cracks in our armor and share them with other people, is when we can heal. So thank you for allowing me to share my brokenness, because I know I'm going to be having a vulnerability hangover by the end of the day. So this is Dad's brothers. What a motley crew. When I saw that, I thought, man, these guys, can you imagine growing up with these guys in the neighborhood? I mean, you didn't fight one Richardson, you fought them all. I remember those kids that had 7 brothers and sisters, or 7, you know. But Dad's here. Whoop, sorry. I'm just kidding. That's Dad right here. A lot of people used to say that he looked a lot like Jerry Lee Lewis, you know. And Dad loved cars. Dad was like me. He loved cars. He had an old 57 Chevy. There was a 4-door hardtop. And what a beautiful car, you know. Mom, on the other hand, loved to race Dad's car. And she ended up telling me a story just recently. I was going to tell you about this. I said, Mom, how did you meet Dad? And she told me a little bit. She said, well, we traded cars one time. She had a Volkswagen. He had a 57 Chevy. Well, she decided to go to Eureka from Spanish Fork, and she decided to race all the way there. And they were drinking. And so when she got pulled over, now they don't do this anymore. When she got pulled over, she wouldn't drive Dad's car home. So the cop drove Dad's car home. How do you do that? You know? I mean, back in the day. This is my sister, Kimberly. So she's got 3 boys. Well, let me see. So this is Swade, and I believe these are his 2 youngest right here. This is Tyson. Tyson's right here again, and then Casey. So she works for the ambulance, and she does a lot of other things she couldn't make it today. Right here is my brother, Jody. Now, you guys may not know Jody, but I'm hoping you connect with him right there. Jody is my dad's son. He was born in 1972, and I tell you, Dad, he looks more like Dad than I do. And he's a great man. What's interesting about Jody is me and him were crossing paths left and right, because we were both kind of wild back in the high school days. And as we got older, we started having these path connections. He became a welder just like I did. He lives up in Rock Springs. Great little family. Him and his wife did have were divorced, and now this is new family. Great kid, great kid. This is me. So me and my wife here, Colette, we've been married for 30 years. That's saying something. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, we met in 12-step meetings. You know, we got to know each other after a couple of years, realized that we had a lot alike. We both kind of grew up in an alcoholic home, and it worked for us. But this is our extended family. This is Nicole right here. We love running with our girls. Running with our girls is the best. That's one of our favorites. So whenever we can, we try to run, but we're not running too much anymore. So this is our family. My son Josh Josh and Caleb remind me of each other. So Josh, I got a picture on my family search that shows Caleb and Josh, and they're both foamers. Josh, I don't know if you knew, his mom didn't marry me, and so she's a foamer. And so she kept his name. They spell it the same, and these boys look like twins. They truly do. So here's Dad again. Dad struggled through the years. You know, I mean, he had jobs, but he just couldn't get on top of things. He was always working, and you know, he just struggled. I tried helping him get sober. He got sober for a year, and that's about all that lasted. You know, and I don't know the whole reason why he kept drinking, because I don't walk in his shoes. You know, I can't judge him. But he was a great man. So this is our extended family. So we have Jessie and her new husband here. This is Tom. Tom married Dana. Dana's our oldest daughter. You may remember her. This is Weston and Allie. These two have our first great granddaughter. She's 6 years old, which is pretty cool. They love sports and bike riding or ride motorcycles. And this is our little Henley. That's a young picture. She's 6 now. It's amazing. So the new additions this year, we had Blake and Jessie get married this past May?
No, October.
October. Yeah. So I got that wrong. I knew one of them was 2024. And both of them are. So Clay and Maddie were first. They got married. Then Blake and Jessie, and then Paul and Colette, Sarah right here are the recent addition. Okay. Now we're gonna have fun. Any Toastmasters in here? Raise your hand. Hi, Toastmaster. You ever been to a Toastmasters meeting? My daughter has. So I'm going to pick on her. So in Toastmasters is a group of people who teach each other how to speak, how to carry the message, how to get the word across, how to keep from doing the ums and the ands and the so's and the buts and all these other things that are filler words when we speak. So in Toastmasters, we have a thing called table topics. And so if you go to a Toastmasters meeting, and there's 121 in the state of Utah. The one in Spanish Fork that I belong to is #1. We have more Triple Crown winners. That means people who have made it to these levels that are just unsurpassed. And it's a big deal when you become #1 out of 121. And so come to our Toastmasters meeting. If you want to learn how to speak better, if you want to learn how to convey the word better, maybe it's a talk in church, whatever it might be, you can learn it here in a safe place. And it's 100 years old. But what we do in Toastmasters is what we're going to do now. And they do table topics. So I'm going to invite some of you out there to come up and speak. And I'm going to tell you what you're going to speak on. So who wants to volunteer first? And if you don't volunteer, come on up. Caleb, right? Kate.
That's all right. It's hard for Case.
Kate.
All right. For Case sound, I respond.
Okay. Kate, I have 8 table topics. You got to pick a number from 1 to 8.
8.
You want 8. That's
Just give me the topic. I don't need to.
well, and we're going to time you.
Okay.
You got 2 minutes.
Okay.
So who's timer? We need a timer. And we need an awe counter. People who pick up the words. Okay. Come to a Toastmaster. I'm going to find this here. Just 1 second. Number 8. You find an old Richardson family heirloom in the attic. What is it? And what wild story do you tell about its journey to the reunion?
I got you.
Got it?
Yeah.
2 minutes.
All right. So there is a anvil in this attic. Now, this anvil has a very specific story behind it. This anvil is a family anvil. It was brought across the prairies. Sorry, not the prairies. It's Richardson anvil, not a Perry anvil. And this anvil, there's one. There's a 2. Already, wow. That's hard. I just gotta breathe instead of saying, breathe instead. That doesn't count. Oh well, the story continues. So this anvil, as it came across the prairie, we as a family had to carry it across. Now, as it's coming across, it's kind of hard to do in a handcart. So this one was carried across in a large wagon. This large wagon came all the way across, as you can imagine. It's very difficult. And so, didn't count. As we're going across, every bump you hit, this anvil acts just like an anvil and slams across the axle of this, dang it, there it is, of the covered wagon. That causes a lot of stress. So halfway through the journey, this anvil ends up breaking the wagon. But instead of leaving the anvil behind, they fixed the axle and kept coming down. Now, this anvil, instead of being up in the attic, it's now in our backyard because I wanted to learn how to use an anvil because I thought that would be a useful skill. 30 seconds. Now, as we were bringing it here to the meeting, or to our family reunion, guess what happened again? Anvils are heavy. And it turns out axles haven't been made properly since the pioneer ages as well. So as we were coming and the bumps were happening, that anvil broke our axle again. Now I've got about 15 minutes, so you can imagine how we got here the rest of the way. It's kind of hard to fix a metal axle, but you can fix a wooden one. So we just walked. So the anvil's not here, it's down the road.
And for those who don't know what an anvil is, it weighs about 200 pounds. Great job. Come to our Toastmasters. I know you live close. Who's next? Who's next? Come on. This one thing I want you to think about, and I was going to try a word cloud. What word in your mind makes the Richardson family reunion great? Think about it. Nicole, come on up. She's got practice. She's been to one Toastmaster. Pick a number. Well,
I got one.
well. Okay, tell us what you got.
Okay, so one word that reminds me of the Richardson and Butler family reunion is homemade or root beer. Like, I remember that vividly, how amazing it was. We looked forward to it. I have 5 kids. Was it really?
That was the other side of the fence.
Okay, just kidding.
I don't remember making root beer, but
Really?
here, I'm going to give you a question. I'm going to give you a question.
Now you gotta switch it up.
Pick a number. Pick a number. 4. If you could inherit one quirky trait or talent from past Richardson relative, what would it be, and what would you show it off at the reunion? Or would it? So, a quirky trait that a past Richardson relative had that you want to show. You want to know? Okay. Family lore says Richardsons were great storytellers. Share a funny, heartwarming tale you'd tell to keep the reunion campfire burning late into the night.
I don't really have a story prepared.
It's okay. Make one up.
The one that comes to mind when I think of my grandpa Brent is, I swear it was every night that we would go over there and visit him at his house, or close to that. After we went swimming as a family, we'd go over there and visit him. And I would sit on his lap, and he would immediately grab a jar of pickles from the fridge and bring them to me because pickles were my favorite. And he called me his little nickel pickle. And I think that nickname came from when I was a baby and I couldn't bite the pickle, but I would just suck on it. Like, that's how much I love pickles. So that's the story I have.
Thank you. Now, who's next? And you can use one of the questions I've already asked. Come on up, Rob. And give him a hand coming up. That's what we do at Toastmasters. It's tough to get up here. Do you want to pick one or? Okay. No, number 4. I'll reread that. So you can do this. If you could inherit one quirky trait or talent from a past Richardson relative, what would it be? And how would you show it off at the reunion?
Wow, that's a tough one. First of all, I'm Rob Richardson. I've talked about the first generation, all of our parents, and now we're the second generation, except for Pat and Pauline, who are doing very well. We saw them yesterday. So I'm the oldest of the second generation. I'm the oldest of the cousins. And so my memories of Grandma and Grandpa go back into the 50s of having Sunday dinner down there with a chicken in the 1950s and early 60s. My memory of Tom Richardson and his family is having them come in on an airplane and land by Grandma's house and have Christmas with us. My memories of Brent, my mother passed away when I was 10, and so my sister Janice and I got to go up and stay with Grandma for about 3 years. So we went to Grandma's in 1960, 61. She had a large chicken coop. She had a huge cottonwood out there. And one of my memories there is getting in the cottonwood and running up as high as we could and having Brent laugh at us. He jumped in that thing and went 30 feet higher than we did. We couldn't get up that high. We were scared to death. But he did that. And then I learned how to irrigate with him. I learned how to hoe beets with him. I learned how to drive the tractor and knock him off as they were doing that. So a lot of memories with the family. Now back to my question, what could I take? This family has 11 brothers and sisters that were incredible, and they were raised by a great grandmother and or father and mother. These kids were, over the years, they were active in church. Some of them were not active in church. Some of them had issues. But from 1950 forward, this is one family. These guys would get together at these reunions, and they were one family. And the love and appreciation they had was remarkable. So if I can take that and take it to my family of 5, who now are 20, and have one family with them, that's my goal, is to have that one family availability from the number 1 generation and from Grandma and Grandpa. They were remarkable, and being with you guys is remarkable too. A lot of you guys were a lot smaller than I remember, and now you're older, and you're just as good looking as you were when you were smaller. But I love to be with you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else want to try? Come on up. Well, we got 2. Okay, come on up, son. Come on. Yes. What number?
3.
You want 3?
This better be.
Well, you can pick it up.
It can't get any worse than saying something about somebody else's family reunion.
That one was wild.
That was the best one.
Why was Aunt
We always went
Tony
swimming, beer.
the reunion star?
I had to try you guys' root beer.
She's
So good.
They've all passed away.
that was, we shouldn't do that. Hold on. Now, 3.
Yeah, it was like your first name.
No, 3 I think we've done, but you can try. How about this one? Imagine you're at a Richardson Reunion in the 1700s. What dish would you bring to the table, and how would you convince everyone it's the best?
I would bring sliced apples dipped in pineapple juice. Because it's easy, you just pull those apples off the tree and slice them up, and then you get those pineapples from Hawaii. You know, those were really handy back then. Dip them in, they don't go brown, and you can have them in the fridge for a week or more. So, and I did it today, so anyway. But I do have a couple of things I want to share. You were talking about quirky things. You've all seen the videos of the family, growing up, the family reunions that they had, and this one just really, it cracked me up. I'm gonna come up here, Gordon. It was Grandpa Richardson, and Kate's standing by me, and put your hand on my shoulder, and Grandpa would, I think he was nervous or something, because he'd sit there and he'd pat the side of my face. He'd pat the side of Grandma's face while they're taking these movie things and they're doing pictures, and I see Grandma kind of go like this, you know, and then he'd stop, and then he'd start up again, patting her face. And I thought, well, that was a little quirky, but you know, maybe you didn't like having this picture taken, maybe you did, but I thought it was cute. And then one other memory, when Rob was up here, see that Richardsons are all about family. And these family reunions, I remember back to when I was small, and it was the time that Rob and Sharon were newlyweds. I don't know, what year did you get married? 71. So I would have been 9 then. And I remember thinking, oh, they're so cute. And they were out there playing volleyball, and they were so active, and they looked like they were having so much fun. And I thought, oh, I hope I'm like that someday. Of course, this is a 9-year-old thinking this, but anyway, it was just, I love the Richardsons and the pheasant hunts. Those were huge, coming to a pheasant hunt. I mean, I grew up in California, and so our vacations were once a year when we came to Benjamin and stayed with Grandma for a week or so. And then we'd get to see all the cousins and maybe spend the night and things like that. And that was very exciting because we only had one other family close to us, and that was on my mom's side growing up. So coming to Utah was just lots of fun and being a part of the family. And I remember being a little jealous of Aunt Berla's, my cousins, because they lived across the street from Grandma, and I didn't have that connection with them like they did, because we lived too far. But the fact that family is very important, and that's one thing my dad always reiterated with us. We need to get together more often as a family and share, and like this, I love it. So.
Thank you. Caleb Wright. I was going to call you Josh, but that's my nose. What number would you look? Can I do the story? You want to do the story one? Okay. Do you want me to read it again, or you got it?
Go ahead.
Family lore says Richardsons were great storytellers. Share a funny, heartwarming tale you'd tell to keep the family reunion campfire burning late into the night.
I'm getting out the light here. Hi. I didn't think I'd be nervous talking to family, but I really am. So the pheasant hunts have already been mentioned, but I don't know if I ever told my dad this. But growing up as a kid, I actually really looked forward to the pheasant hunts and going down to Benjamin. It was time that I could spend with my dad and spend with all of you as well. And I know I was probably 12, 13, I probably complained about all the walking sometimes, and as teenagers do. But one story I'd like to share, it's kind of funny, I think. I was 12 years old, and we were hunting, and there was a horse on the property we were hunting. And we were getting ready to walk off the property, and it was me, my dad, Jeff Proctor and his boys were with us, and all of a sudden I hear one of his boys, AJ, scream out, "Caleb, watch out!" And I turned behind me, and lo and behold, this horse is running right at me, trying to get out the gate. So here I am, 12 years old, in big hunting boots, carrying a big shotgun, an orange, just ready for the hunt, and booking it as fast as I can across this field, trying to outrun this horse. And I get to the other side, my dad slams the gate, and him think Jeffrey just busting a gut. They can't stop laughing at me. I'm like, what do you think is so funny? My dad looks at me and says, I've never seen you move that fast in my life. But I always loved coming and being a part of that, and the memories I have from that. And oh, there's me. And being in Aunt Verla's house, I remember when I was younger, before I could go on the hunt, being in the back and playing with the beads and melting those and eating the chili. It was my first introduction to really spicy food, which, as I've gotten older, I've appreciated spicy food more. And just getting to know my grandma's family. Donna is my grandmother, by the way. I should mention that. Richardson. But Donna's my grandmother, and to kind of keep that side of the family going, we also gave my daughter Margaret the middle name Donna. And some other stories. Bob was asking me how much I remember when I was younger, from around the time I had a transplant. I don't remember much, but I do have the good memories, and one of those memories is with I don't remember if this was a dream or actually happened, but there's a picture of me wearing this red lady's hat with this veil that comes up over it. And my grandparents had flown out to Wisconsin to be there for my parents and to be there for me. And I have this memory of looking up at my grandma through this veil. She was probably one of the most loving people I've ever known. She would do it, or my grandpa would do anything for their family. And also when my son was sick, my grandparents they were getting older, but they do whatever they could to be there for us. And other members of this family as well. I remember during that time looking at my bank account, making sure we had enough money for everything, and there would be these random deposits in my account. I think it was coming from Aunt Pat. I guess I just wanted the opportunity to say that, I make a point of coming to these reunions because of how much the Richardson family means to me and how much my grandma meant to me and still means to me. And how much the love and support from this family has helped my family throughout everything we've been through. Not just financially, but prayers have been offered, the miracles that our family has seen. I love the Richardsons, and I'll keep coming as long as we're doing a reunion. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to share a quick. One of the things I told you a little bit about was my dad was a storyteller. Now, Dad drank a little bit, so I don't know if that helped, but in my life it did. But really, he used to tell us stories about him and Dwayne going around, and they'd go up and down in different places, and their big thing was to tip over outhouses. So they'd go run along and tip over the outhouse, and he was telling me one time, and he said, one time we were out late at night, and he said, we found this one, and it was up, and we wanted to tip it over, and they hit it full speed, and all of a sudden they hear, ah! They kept running. But Dad was that kind of a person. He was a prankster. When him and Stan worked together at these construction sites, Dad knew Stan didn't like snakes. And Dad was a big-time prankster. Well, one time Stan was in the trailer, doing something or whatever, and Dad had found this rattlesnake that had been run over, definitely dead. And he opens the door and he throws it in the trailer, and Stan come flying out of there, and there was a flatbed trailer that he had to go under to get away from this. So he had to duck and run, Well, Dad said stand, ducked, and run for about 100 yards. He didn't realize he was out from underneath. He was that scared of the rattlesnakes. Dad was a good man. And you guys know him as that good man. I learned a lot from him. I learned things that I probably should change, because I became an alcoholic early on. Started going to jails, and I found sobriety when I was 24 years old. And it was because of him. Because it's like I realized he didn't want to do that anymore. And sometimes addiction is part of our family. And if we can just be there for each other, let them know that they're not that different. We have a lot in common. And it's that commonness that helps strengthen us. It's allowing me to share the cracks in my armor so you guys can see the light. Because it's the light of being able to share my weakness, my vulnerabilities, that helps me create. And from Brene Brown, she says vulnerability is the pathway to creation and innovation. And I can attest to that, because I talk to people. When I'm broken, when I'm having something going on in my life, I have at least 10 people I can call. And hopefully, I'm one of yours if you don't have 10. Because I've been there. I've worked in prisons, jails. I've served 10 plus missions in the LDS 12-step in pornography and addiction. Me and my wife have got 60 years combined sobriety. We've been through a lot. We've got a lot of answers that we can share with you when people are struggling in your family. Because we all struggle. And it's those struggles that bind us together. I'm so grateful to be a part of this family. The Richardson Reunions, even though the one I did, 1985 was a little bit, the Christmas reunion, the adult party when Cousin Troy spiked the punch. Yeah, I didn't live that one down for very long, but I've had some fun with some of the cousins, and I'll have to tell those stories on the side, because you may not want to hear them, but it's just fun. One of the stories that Jackie told me that my dad used to always love, because Dad lived in Grandma's home for a while, and he said there was these 3 little girls that lived across the street. So I would have been Annette, Jackie, and Susan. And Jackie told me about this story that they played a trick on my dad. And what they did is they'd been eating Oreo cookies, but they only liked the white stuff. So they thought about putting toothpaste in the cookies and taking them to Grandpa Brent to see what he would do. And sure enough, they took him over, and Dad, being the dad he is, he just, these are great, but they were full of toothpaste. And that was kind of a funny story, but Dad loved those little girls. I know he talked to me about them, and he just loved children, and that was one of the blessings that he brought to me, because I do love children as well. I'm just grateful to be here. Thankful you're here. We are on a somber note with the loss of a family member. But we've lost a few this year. And we need to reach out to those people who have lost a child, and do it later on. Do it not necessarily today, a month from now or a year from now. Just let them know that you care. We call it mattering. One thing that I got involved with this past year was Promise to Live, and it's a group that kind of deals with suicide and people who have attempted suicide, and they just want to come together and support each other through these tough trials, because not everybody has a Richardson family, but let us support you when you're struggling. I'm so grateful to be a part of this, and I'm grateful that you give me the opportunity to prepare this and share what I know about my dad, and what I know about and got to learn from you guys. Thank you.